I'm Jennifer Thompson, and this is another episode of Thompson's Gym. I have Donovan Thompson with me to my left here. He's the world team bench press coach for USA Powerlifting. And I have Jeff Snyder, and he's a national equipped bench press champion of 2016. And I don't know what else to say about you.
2015 Masters World Champion.
Yeah. World champion, IPF.
Yeah.
So today we're having a little roundtable discussion about how to mentally prepare for a meet when your training has gone, not so well. So we can use my training for Raw Nationals just last weekend as an example, where the training wasn't so great.
The most important thing when you've had a bad training cycle, before you go into a meet, you got to figure out why that training cycle was bad. What was the reason that it didn't end the way you want it to end? You know, everyone's picking a goal of where they want to be, and when you don't get to that goal, you consider it a bad training cycle. But that's not always the case, and you got to figure out why you didn't get to that goal. Are you overtrained? Are you injured? Combination of those two. Is there external forces outside of lifting that are keeping you from being able to train the way you want to train? And I think if you recognize those things, it'll help you be more prepared on meet day to overcome whatever bad cycle happened.
And I think that's important. Just because you had a bad training cycle, it doesn't necessarily mean that your competition is going to be terrible as well. Because we were talking with you, and you've had lots of bad training cycles and lifted really, really good.
Yes, and a lot of the times it was from travel. Because
overtraining.
I'm just working on the road all the time, never lifting in the same gym, traveling at work to an hour and a half to get to a gym to lift, maybe only getting 1-2 days a week in because of my job. But I had one of the best meets I've ever had. I hit a PR, and I've, 50-pound PR since I started training with you guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Thompson's Gym, 50 pounds.
That's right.
I think just when you walk in the gym, that happens.
Well, I've told people that.
In the bench.
In the bench only. Everything
Only
else
in
is
the
a little
bench.
questionable.
Yeah, I mean, I told someone that at Heather Counter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I said, just talking to us adds 20 pounds to your bench.
I think we did do that though.
Well, yeah.
With her.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so the training cycle, I think, like we've said, is the first important part is to understand why it didn't go well, even if it's like the week before the meet. I mean, that's one of the things that we evaluated with me was, overtraining. So we need to get some more rest in right before the meet, and then go into meet knowing that you've tried to help those things you identified that weren't going so well, coming in with more rest and ready to lift a little bit better.
Well, I mean, you got to figure out why you're overtrained. So if you think it's overtraining, you got to figure out why you're overtrained. So, a lot of people, I'm not sleeping well, my nutrition's not good, I'm injured, I changed something in my cycle, and that's why I'm overtrained. Where I think people, they feel themselves not sleeping, not eating as well, and they're like, well, that's why I'm overtrained, which it's actually the other way around.
It's the result of.
Yeah, when you're overtrained, you pop awake in the middle of the night and don't sleep well. When you're overtrained, you eat poorly because you're not hungry at the right times. And, when you're injured, it creates overtraining because you're using musculature that you don't normally use.
Try to lift around the injury.
You try to lift around the injury, or you try to add in other stuff to compensate for the injury instead of just recognizing, like, I need some time off.
Could overtraining cause an injury too, Don?
I mean, there's no question. It causes you, to do things you normally wouldn't do, and then you come back and you're not quite recovered from the time before, and then you pull something. And then the result will be, well, then I'll do something else or train something else. I'm so close to my meet, I can't stop. And, I kind of fluked into it one time by getting injured and being forced to take time off, and had one of the best meets I've ever had.
Right.
By not actually lifting for 10 days. And then coming back, lifting 1 week, and then going. And so, we kind of purposely put that in our training cycles. We don't try to peak. We do kind of a cyclical cycle in order to be able to never get way overtrained.
And never miss the peak, really.
Right. And then when you got hurt, your resultant was, I got to do more, I got to do more, I got to do more, which just led to more and more overtraining.
Right.
And then, convincing you to not do more was nearly impossible.
Well,
There's no excuse, Jen.
okay.
You only had a few people telling you.
I know. It was, but we talked a little bit earlier about one of the things that was probably detrimental a little bit is all the hype. It was really awesome having this prime time event and really featuring this really great things that are going to come. So it kind of got me like, I need to get here. And by trying to get myself to a place where I wanted to be so badly, I end up making it worse.
Yeah, I think the disappointment of not putting up the numbers that you wanted to at Worlds for, the reasons that happened made you want to put on this great show.
I wanted to redeem myself in a huge way.
Made you train and get outside of the things we normally do, trying to be even better.
Right.
And you can't be even better. You can only be as good as you can be and as good as you train. And when you get overtrained, you're sunk.
Right. So we talked a little bit about leading up to the meet, going a little bit, as Kim Walford likes to call it, in our Iron Sisters training camp, she calls it going dark from media. And I think that is huge, because if you're constantly on Instagram and you're watching who everyone's posting about their training, they're constantly posting videos and you're paying attention to all the hype, that's quite draining in itself too. And that kind of affects maybe your mood going into your training also. So especially leading up to the actual day of the meet, several days before, I just stopped looking at all the stuff and I actually just felt like better, because I wasn't getting myself wrapped up in all the stuff that's going on in the media. So I think as an athlete, it's okay to go dark with all the hype that's going on and really just focus on preparing for that meet and what you need to do.
Yeah. I know Blaine does that too.
Yeah. But really, like what we did with you is, I made sure that you had good people there to coach you, because you were going in Wednesday where I didn't lift till Saturday. And I knew if I flew in on Wednesday and sat with you for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I would be toast by Saturday, just being in that atmosphere. So I think
But maybe you wouldn't have continued to try to lift and overtrain if you were
right
there. That would have helped. It's a possibility.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But as I was saying, so I think all of us, would understand if like our training partner had to lift the next day, we wouldn't expect them to be there for us. We would want them to go do what they need to do to prepare to lift.
Right.
So I think that's a little bit of some of it is you're going to have to put yourself first if you want to lift well, and your training partners are going to have to understand it's not good for you to sit through a whole session with them before you go.
That's what I have trouble with.
Yeah.
I love being at the venue. Love it.
Right.
And I just can't sit still. Back there always helping people and stuff like that. I just can't.
Or when you, like, everyone's going out to eat and drink, that you feel like you must go as well, even though it's the night before you left.
Well, I'm free entertainment.
You are free entertainment.
Right?
If everyone's drinking, just feels like,
But you seem to lift better after that, so that you may be onto something with that.
Well, I mean, I've been doing it a long time.
It's all about the relaxation.
Yes.
It is. It better help you sleep good.
My first bench nationals, Tony Cardell and I went to the after party one night. They had at that bar, and they opened to the public, and all this crowd rushes in. And I looked right at Tony. And I said, "There's always next year."
So going into the day of your lifting, when your training cycle hasn't been fantastic and you're warming up and getting ready for the meet, I think some of it is important to, you might have to adjust your opener or your second based on how you feel. Like for this meet, we dropped 10 pounds in my squat just because mostly mentally I wasn't real confident in it, and I wasn't entirely sure how well I'd feel when I got out there. So just, even though I know I could probably do 286, I dropped it to 276 just because it put my mind in a better state, probably getting ready.
The way your training was,
Yeah.
I was hoping for an opener.
Seriously,
Me
yeah.
too.
The way your hip
Seriously.
was.
Okay, I was hoping for an opener, and then let's go to the bench, and then you kill it. But even when you were warming up, you your form was still off a little bit, but when you would hit it right, it was much faster. So I said, oh, she's going to be fine.
Right.
So kind of going back to that, like mentally preparing before you, so you're there, you're warming up, you know your training wasn't where it needs to be, and you're getting ready to walk out on the platform. It takes a huge mental toughness to put all that mental negative energy aside and just go to work. And we talked about how having a ritual really helps for that. What would you say your ritual was?
Well, I listen to music, and usually Donovan's with me. He stands behind me with my music. I chalk up, leave my ear things in until he taps me on the shoulder and tells me the bar's loaded. Chalk up, clap my hands, and go out. But earlier in the day, I watch motivational videos on YouTube. Listen to music. Music gets me fired up more than anything. I like music, but that's about it. But
I think having that commonality every single time, it's kind of like, when you get up and you take a shower and get ready for work and you didn't even realize you got in the shower and did that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think having that can help you be mentally tough with keeping all that negative energy and just go to what you need to do.
And I don't have to think about my warm-ups or nothing, because usually I'm good friends with Jonah Leo, and he's so anal about his warm-ups. I just follow him.
All 100 of them. So
and I
skip every third one.
I go every third one, and I'm good. I just follow him because it's always me and Jonah, the last two that lift usually, unless Blaine's there or somebody like that, But I just follow Jonah.
What's your ritual?
Well, I mean, for me, I try to make it the same as the gym, and so my thing that makes lifting fun for me is having fun, and so I'm in the back having a good time until they say bar's loaded. But I'm joking, I'm laughing, I'm cutting up with people, until it's time to say bar's loaded, and then I can turn it on and then turn it off. There's a lot of people back there burning a bunch of energy.
That's right.
That they don't need to burn, worried about the next attempt, worried about the people around them. I don't worry about where I'm at. I got a guy handling my numbers.
Some of that's trusting your training partners and know you got people there to have your back.
I know that in the gym, my training partners have set me up to squat to depth, to put numbers on there that are going to put me in the place I want to be in, to cut up and joke with me and keep me light, knowing me, and then sending me out there with the right motivation to go get it. And, I just think that there's a lot of people burning energy, looking at boards, not really trusting their training because did my partner tell me? I mean, I know if I get a squat in the gym, it's going to be good.
Right.
Well, we've got, let's not get carried. We've got pretty good training partners.
Very lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky every gym I've been to. I had Randy and them guys in Houston and then you guys here. You can't get much better training than what we.
And I think, that was huge having you and Logan and Donovan there for me. And so, like, when I would get ready to go, we would hang back there and just chit chat and do whatever. And then you would tell me, how many out.
Yep.
And then when I went up there, Donovan usually just says something about go getting them or slaps me in the belt or something. But what I do is I get myself hyped up by getting the crowd going. I do a little bit of this, maybe a little yelling. But the cadence is the same. I look both sides at the weight to make sure they match. I tell myself it's going up. I always say my weight, right? And then a good lockout, and then I just go. Like I don't because it's the same thing every time, and I like to use that energy to get me pumped up. There's no way I can think about how bad stuff went. And I just tell myself it's going up. It's going up no matter what. It's going up.
Right.
So I think having those rituals, no matter what your training cycle was, it sets you up for hitting your best lifts.
Right.
I think ultimately, like when you have a bad training cycle, if you can just rely on your experiences and know you can get yourself where you need to be in the competition, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a bad one just because the training up to there wasn't where you want it to be. You can do amazing things when put on the spot.
Well,
like that.
If you're a competitor.
Yeah.